Hey guys, welcome to Jerry's Facebook Live. It is our 30th episode, JL30, for those of you playing along at home. In the search bar on jerrysartarama.com, put that in there. That'll bring up the entire list of all the canvases we're showing today. It is stretching your dollars with knowledge, the Stretched Canvas episode. I am your host, as always, Amy Gardner-Dean. And I just wanted a quick shout out, thank you to one of our viewers, Raven, who stopped by and brought me a Bob Ross. I know, he's going on the set. Katie made me take it out of the box. Now it doesn't have any value.
I saved the box.
I know. I'm just teasing you.
All
right, so to start things off, before we get into all of this, and believe me, there's a lot of it, I just want to chastise some of you. It's the lecturing finger coming out. Remember when we had that inspired, or hashtag inspired by Facebook Live, right? Or Jerry's Live, right, Katie? Inspired by Jerry's Live.
Inspired by Jerry's Live.
And we said that you could win one of 3 $10 Jerry's gift cards for the website. And everybody was like, yay, how do I do that? And we told you. And then everybody was going to do it. And then everybody was probably like, I'm going to go on the benefit of the doubt that you were probably like, there'll be so many people, surely they won't pick me. We had 3 viewers, so guess what? Joellen Ham has this wonderful chicken painting. I know, it's nice, isn't it? Norma, love Norma. She has this beautiful abstract ink painting. And then Gigi Barrett has this great portrait. I'm very impressed, Gigi. You're playing along like you don't know what you're doing. Clearly you do. So those 3 lovely ladies are getting a $10 Jerry's e-gift card.
They have to send me a message on Facebook so I can get their email address.
Okay, did you hear that, you 3 ladies? Send her a message so you can get the email address so she can send you your e-gift card. So next week, you all have homework. You do. It's hashtag inspired by Jerry's Live. I want to see some artwork. It doesn't have to be your best thing. It's artwork, people. You all should be doing it normally on a regular basis anyway. Drawings, paintings, sketches, doodles. We just want to give away free gift cards. So come on. And I want to see what everybody's up to. So work with me here. All right. Now that you've had your lecture, you're going to get, sadly, more of a lecture, but it's on canvas. So you're going to be knowledgeable now. Stretched canvas is a huge, wide open, just from very basic for like painting parties to like just some serious stuff for some serious artists that are professionals. So we've got the whole gamut here. So we're going to discuss, where do you fit in? Where are your needs going to be met with what's available out there on the market to you? Now, I did take out just some leading brands that you can get anywhere that we sell, but it's just kind of, I can tell you where those fall in if people want to ask. But we're going to get started and cover all this. So and people can ask questions, and if we don't get to them, because it's going to be very intensive, we've got a lot to cover, I will get to your questions online. So what is canvas? The Latin word that it comes from is canapacious. It means made of hemp, because that's what the first canvases were made out of. They weren't made out of linen, and obviously they weren't made out of cotton, because we're talking like in the 1400s, in the 14th century. It first begins being used in the 14th century. Up until that time, they did it on panels. But because they didn't really know about priming it as well, they had, experimented with it. Obviously, they didn't have air conditioning and, central heating then, so you had vast fluctuations of temperature. A lot of it's not around. It's not really until the late 1400s that you're getting canvas paintings that have survived. What is one of the oldest paintings that survived on canvas? I look at Amanda and she's pretending not to notice because she doesn't want to be called on. The Birth of Venus by Botticelli is one of the oldest existing canvas paintings. That's what you're to say. Yeah.
I wasn't answering because I knew the answer from
Yeah,
earlier.
yeah, because I already told you. So, but really, canvas paintings don't really become predominant until the 16th century in Italy, where that's pretty much what everybody's painting on, and then into the 17th century in Europe. Just because, you know, those Italians, they're at the forefront of art, basically, at that time. So, so that's kind of where canvas comes from, the history, kind of when they started using it. Canvas classifications. This is something that people always ask when I used to be the tech rep. What does it mean? What do ounces mean? What does this number mean when I'm trying to buy, you know, just rolled cotton duck? Weight is what that ounces are. When you say something, say 14 ounces, you're taking a square yard of that, so 3 feet by 3 feet, and you're weighing it, and that's what the ounces are. If it says the unprimed weight, that's before they put the oil or acrylic primer on it. If they're saying primed weight, that's what it is, already all taken care of. What you're actually seeing on the canvas, that's going to be the weight, okay? Number really isn't done as much anymore, but I remember a long time ago when I was younger that's what they would say. It'd be like, you know, cotton duck number 10, cotton duck number 3. That was kind of the weight by just the number. The higher that number goes, for some reason, the lower the weight, which doesn't make sense, but you know, not everything makes sense in art, right, Amanda? And by the way, Amanda did this lovely sign. I was very impressed by it, so thank you.
Thanks, pal.
Everybody loves it. Everybody loves Amanda's lettering. All right, now it doesn't.
I know, right?
All right, so so that's with canvas blankets and rolls. Now, canvas composition. Everybody knows about cotton. Everybody knows about linen. Maybe you know about hemp and jute. That's some heavier stuff. What does it really boil down to? What is it really useful for? Why is one maybe work more for you than another? Cotton, it's less expensive. Part of the reason, you can get it, you know, far easier. Cotton grows great in Africa. It grows in the United States and North and South America. It's basically like a prickly weed that has really great fluff that you can make fabric out of. So it's very easy to grow. You can grow a lot of it very quickly. The process of harvesting, the process of manufacturing takes much less time and resources. So that's something that also helps with the expense of the material. Now, what makes cotton softer is because the fibers are much shorter. It makes it fluffier. It also, though, makes it stretchier, which we'll talk about. We're talking about different types of ways you paint. Might not be good if you're using a lot of really heavy mediums on your canvas where it's going to add a lot of weight to what you're doing. It's easy to get a smooth, tight, mechanical, even weave with cotton because it is softer, so you can get those really nice, fine, tight weaves to it. And if you stretch canvas yourself, cotton is super ridiculously easy to stretch. Not as much so with linen. It takes, if you were going to learn to stretch canvas, definitely learn to stretch with cotton. It's much easier to do. Linen, by comparison, is the world's strongest natural fiber. It is 30% more strength. It has 30% more strength than cotton, which that's a lot. 30% is a whole third, you know?
Not quite.
Well,
Almost.
we're gonna, it's math is a 4-letter word, Amanda. We're rolling with it. Sorry, Kate's making a really funny face. It's very funny. Linen's actually used in making paper money to increase strength. Who knew that? I did not know that. That's why paper money is durable, because they put linen in it. Linen is fiber that's from the flax plant. What else comes from flax, Amanda?
Seeds.
Seeds. What kind of seeds?
Smoothie seeds.
Flax seeds.
Flax seeds. Yeah. That they make linseed oil. Yeah, flax, pressed linseed oil. So you're painting on something that seeds go to make the oil, to make your paint, to make the oil. So that's pretty, I mean, that's like how they used to, you know, use the whole pig when they used it everything but the squeal, right? Flax and linen is kind of like that. You never heard that, Katie?
No, ooh, no, apparently not.
Try growing up on a farm. Linen has variable lengths of fiber, so it really contributes to the strength, because when you're making that yarn from it, it's going to be a lot stronger because of those really huge long fibers. It's got the natural ability to prevent bacterial growth, mold, and mildew. Why is that? It's because the fiber actually retains some of the natural oils of the plant, which helps do that because it's still got that oil in the system of the plant. It also, over time, a linen canvas will be a lot more flexible because of that, because those natural oils stay in there and stay and stay. That's something you don't get with cotton. It can become brittle over time. Why is linen more expensive? It sounds like they use it for everything, right? Like, you know, it's not a weed like cotton though, but the climate that linen, that the fiber for linen grows the best works really the best in the temperature of France and Belgium.
I work best temperature in France and Belgium.
You know, I think I would too. I'd be willing to try that and see. Why is that? Because it's got a nice, cool, reasonable temperature. What it does is, when they're harvesting the flax plant, you can't just go through like you're mowing with a combine and chop the corn down. You actually have to uproot it, pull it up, leave it in the field. What happens is the controlled decomposition in that cooler climate, after being uprooted, starts to actually soften the woody plant fiber, so it's ready to be processed. So they actually just pull it up and just leave it sitting out there to start to decompose. They're letting this decompose to make your art materials. So that is because of how they have to, you know, pull it up. Obviously takes more time. It takes more time and labor to produce it into yarn, just because of the washing, the processing, because it's much, you know, longer fibers. It's a drier, woodier plant. However, growing that versus cotton, it takes less water and less chemicals. So that's like a good thing. Now, so that's the difference between your two, you know, basic surface mediums. There's also hemp, there's also jute. Those have some good things about them, but they're not as strong as linen's going to be. Now, so we've got the fabrics talked about. How about we talk about the stretchers? The stretcher strips. That's part of your stretched canvas.
It is part of it.
You're not getting around it. Now,
It's a big part.
It's a big part. Yeah, it's a big part that you typically don't see, right? I'm gonna grab this because this is just easy to see a beaded edge, and I'll have you zoom in on it. Now, can you come over and?
You want me to come over there?
Yes. Now this is a museo bar, so this is like taking the beaded edge to an extreme. But with stretched canvas, with a stretcher strip under it, with artist grade on up to professional grade, you're going to have what's called a bead. This is the edge. See how that's rolled? It's actually rounded. It's rounded here. And then it comes way up off that stretcher bar surface. This is very extreme, though, I will say that, because it's the museo bars. This is like the top quality professional bar.
The Transformers.
It is, but you're going to still want it to be actually quite high, because if your fabric ever gets slack, you don't want it to be touching the width of the bar down below. That'll cause what's called ghosting, which we'll talk about with some of the less expensive canvases. So you want a bead on there. They didn't always have it. It used to tear corners really easy. That's definitely something that you want on there. Knots. Inexpensive stretchers are going to be made of cheap pine, usually cheap yellow pine, which if you do any woodworking, it's like knots and knots and knots. Knots not only break up the kind of long, stronger grain, it can become really brittle there. It can bend. That's a very weak part, because it's where a branch comes out of the tree. You don't want that in stretcher strips, especially if you're going to stretch it yourself, because if those are in there and you're trying to staple into it or nail into it, that's not going to work, because that's where a lot of the resin in the plant grows. So you don't want knots. Depth versus width, we were just looking at that. A gallery canvas is going to be deeper, it's going to come wider from front to back, and then the width is what's under the bar underneath that you have from the inside to the outside. You want a good kind of, as I'm dropping everything, you want a good balance between the two because you don't want it to be too heavy. You want that width there because it helps with the strength issue, but you don't want it to be too heavy where it's really adding to the overall weight, especially of larger canvases that you have. Warping, that's something where that depth to width ratio can really help if it's properly done. Otherwise, you can just take it with a, an inexpensive canvas and you can take it and stretch it and torque it, and over time that's not going to be good. That's going to cause warpage with it, or if it's inexpensive. Don't laugh at warpage. I saw that.
He's a torque.
Oh, did I? Torque, not torque.
Wow, got it.
Yeah, a little bit different. The dance move is very different. With corners, there's different ways that they do corners. There's a tongue and groove, which is what most people are used to, where it actually has a piece where they fit together. There's also called a slot lap groove, which we'll talk about on one of the canvases that has that's actually a much tighter, better square corner. That's usually only going to be on your premium ones if you see that. Bracing, you want a good bracing system. Inexpensive ones are going to have something that works. More expensive ones are going to be much more engineered and constructed on your professional canvases. So the larger you go, the more durable, less likely to warp they're going to be. Now, I said something about yellow pine. There's different woods. When everybody says solid pine stretcher bars, it's pine. It's not made of something else, so it's going to be solid pine. You're going to want to hear, if they're talking about pine, kiln dried. Kiln dried means that it's actually put in these big ovens. It's very slowly heated up to get the moisture out, so you're not going to have the warpage. You're not going to have the issues. The wood isn't green that's just been cut, processed, maybe takes a couple weeks to get to the factory. It takes a long time for wood not to be green. I know when I cut wood, when I used to heat with wood, it was like 6 months before you were really supposed to burn it, and really that depended on how short you made that. So it's something that's important for stretchers. Fir or spruce, if you can get those, are going to be your better quality woods. Fir and spruce grow really slow. Pine does not. Pine just pops up fast and goes straight up. So you don't have the strength in it because it grows so fast. Fir and spruce are very slow growing softwoods. So they're going to have a much finer grain that's easier if you ever need to restretch and restaple. That's easier for it to go into because it's a good fine grain. That's going to be much drier. It's going to be much stronger. Just if you see that, that's a buzzword that means fir or spruce. That means this is swanky, right? Okay. Now, why not use oak? Why not use maple? Why not use hardwoods? Because wouldn't that make more sense? Isn't that less likely to warp? If you've ever tried to staple something into oak, it's not going to happen. You don't want that. That's why you do need softwoods for your stretchers. Where something like that would be helpful is if you're making panels, like a good maple panel, because there's very little grain on it, then that would be fantastic. But that's why softwoods are used. It's not to cheapen something. Okay, so now I've got to go to number 5. This is a 14-page show.
15
for notes. Yes. Someday, maybe you should turn around so people can see that, just because then it makes sense. When Raven was here today, I was like, yeah, there's a lot of notes. So while you're doing that, I'm gonna talk about the ways that they stretch. With little tiny canvases, you can do just the sides glued down because it's not a lot of fabric. There's not going to be a lot of weight on it. They can fold it and glue it. That's a great way to do just little tiny ones like this. Back in the day, which actually even on very inexpensive canvases anymore, everything's back stapled. It didn't used to be that way. The staples would actually be in the side or the nails would be in the side. So it's fantastic because everybody's doing it where it comes over the back and it's stapled on the back. So you got that nice clean edge. You don't have to frame it. if you don't want to. So that's kind of a thing of the past. Everybody pretty much back staples now. Tacks, why would you use them? A couple of our premium canvases actually have them.
They're on the shelf right there.
They're on the shelf over here?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I know, I've got one right here. I thought. Oh. That is copper nails. That's the old traditional method of doing it, but then they take it a step further. This is a Paris canvas that we'll talk about, and they actually staple the excess on the back so that you can restretch it, because if you left it here and cut it, and you ever need to restretch it, it's not gonna happen. You don't have enough to actually be able to pull it over with pliers. So those are the different ways. Then there's also splined. Can you zoom in on this so people can see? Think if you think about your screen door maybe at home, this is what a spline is called. It's actually a little gasket. It's got an edge that's kind of routed out. They fold those corners over and staple them. They have it super tight with the machine, and then they push this little gasket in there. It holds the canvas in. This makes for just this beautiful, great, clean surface on the back that doesn't look bad. I mean, that looks pristine. Can you restretch this?
Nope.
Yeah, I mean, if the spline broke and you somehow had like the superhuman, your Herculean strength to get another one and wedge it in there, yeah, but really you're either going to have to, with this being so thin, potentially make your image smaller and restretch it on something. Or if you've got a deeper gallery one, you can probably restretch it on the 3/4 inch if it's like 2 or 3 inches. Then you can do it, but you're not going to be stapling it to the back. So that has a drawback, so we'll talk about that as we go along. Priming. Anytime anybody says universal priming, folks, that means acrylic. I don't know how many people would call and be confused about that, but it just means that universal means that it's going to accept all of your easel media. Acrylics, alkyds, water mixable oils, acrylic inks, regular oils, the whole 9 yards. So that's what universal means. So anytime we talk about acrylic and universal priming, it's the same thing. Oil priming obviously is not. Oil priming is actually done where, because of the acidic effect of oils, you have to put down traditionally a rabbit skin glue, which everybody's like, oh no, the bunnies.
The bunnies.
Rabbit skin glue is just an adhesive made out of refined rabbit collagen. It's a sizing that soaks into the fabric. It gets down in all those holes and pores. It acts as an adhesive. It acts as a filler. It acts as a barrier for the acid in the oil paints. So they're going to put a couple coats of that on. Then they're going to put that oil priming on top of it. It's worked for hundreds and hundreds of years. So I mean, they know that it works. It does. But you do have to do that when you're doing the oil priming. With the acrylic, you can just put it right on and it's fine. Now, one of the things about oil priming that's not necessarily a good thing if you, say, live in Florida and aren't a fan of air conditioning, which I can't imagine you would be, but you've got the issue of rabbit skin glue is hygroscopic. Say that fast 3 times. Yada yada. Hygroscopic. What that means, it's continually absorbing moisture and then releasing moisture from the atmosphere. Yes, see? So I pronounce it right because it does. It's a pain. Otherwise,
I was going with hero. I must be hungry.
Phonics, yeah. Oh. So that glue is going to shrink and swell with humidity changes. That's why the beauty of it is if you have a house where you've got it kept at kind of a similar temperature, you're not going to have issues with that because your humidity is not going to variate. If you do, that's a problem because some types of oil paints are very brittle. Some people prime with very brittle whites. When they stopped using lead, that's why lead white was a fantastic primer for oil primed canvases. Lead was very flexible, it was very soft. It wasn't an issue for being under there, but then you put things like zinc on that are a very brittle pigment, and then it's 95 in your studio, and then it's 70, and then it's 95, and then it's a hurricane for a week. You're going to have that expansion contraction that can potentially break over time and crack. That's how you get cracking in oil paints. So not necessarily always the best thing. If you stretch stuff yourself, you can use PVA glue or a GAC 100 instead as a barrier. than the rabbit skin glue, but again, that's assuming you're going at this from a whole different way than what we're doing today. So, so that's something to keep in consideration. If you're painting in oils, painting on oil primed canvases, whether it's cotton, whether it's linen, is the best chemical bond for medium to medium period. You're not going to have issues with the acrylic potentially being slick. With, let's say you're not the most accomplished advanced painter, you're still learning a lot of skills, you are going to have a lot less problems with your materials bonding than you are with acrylic. Because let's say you're thinning it down too much. You're making, you know, that paint too thin, and you're going to have problems bonding because it'll peel or come right off of the acrylic. We've had that happen with numerous people. We'll send in photos, and it's very obvious that that's what's happening when I talk to them. So something to consider. All right. So that's a lot of hoo-ha, and we're through it now. So let's go on to the canvases and discuss kind of what some of these are for. Now, don't poo-poo anybody. That's what I'm going to say here. Everybody starts somewhere, and sometimes you are really the candidate for a value canvas. There's no shame in that. Where I'm going to tell you there's shame is if you're still painting on that and you're selling artwork. You should not be doing that. You just shouldn't. Don't limit yourself to student grade or practice canvases when you're trying to sell work, because they can't be restretched easily. They don't have keys a lot of times to tighten them back up. They're very thin. They're a very thin cotton usually. They're not primed super heavy duty. If you're a rougher type of painter with your kind of how you attack the canvas and you're really pushing and pulling the paint around or using palette knives, it's really easy to put something through it. So while we're talking about this, consider where you are, and then also where do you want to be as an artist? Are you really wanting to push that professional edge? Or are you just happy with once in a while, you know, painting a picture of some flowers in a vase, or, you know, your neighbor's dog, and that's it? That's where that value canvas is the ideal thing for you, okay? So let's start with the Practica canvases. I'm gonna be pulling stuff out from everywhere, so just, it's gonna be weird. hang in there with me. Practica are a very basic value-minded brand that come in packs of 2 or in boxes of 20. So they've got a 5/8 inch depth, which is going to be a little bit more than a half an inch, so it's a very thin depth to it. It's a 10-ounce primed weight, so you're talking about that's with the primer, it's 10 ounces. So that's why I was saying if you're a very heavy-handed artist or working with palette knives, probably not the thing for you. Go with a panel instead if you're wanting to stay kind of in that value cost range. They are back stapled, which is great for a student or value kind of canvas. They're perfect for beginners, for, let's say, you do like some paint and sip things out of your studio where people come in and you kind of just do the guided fun lessons. Ideal for that. Ideal for students like middle school, high school. Just learning, you know, if you're just learning techniques, there's no point in, you know, you've just got your first oil set and you're taking a still life class. This is fine for this. Boxes, this is where the value of this really sinks in. A box of 2 in a 16 by 20 inch size is $6.99. So, I mean, for $7, you've got 2 canvases. That's really, I mean, wonderfully priced. For a box of 20 with the back to school special, it's $62.99. So 20 canvases, all the practicing you need. You better get on it with 20 canvases. So, but it's a good, great cost alternative for kind of those practical applications. Now these can't be restretched, even though they look like they're kind of routered for that key. They don't come with keys, and they really can't be restretched. So that's something to consider. If you're a little bit more that, you know, you're selling artwork and stuff like that, that might not be the best canvas to put your artwork on. Creative inspirations. I know I've got them here, okay. There's so much.
There's like 80 of them.
Under here. Creative inspirations are a great value line of canvas that comes in packs of 5. For 5 16 by 20s, the back to school special is $11.95 for 5 canvases for 16 by 20. Well, that's a big canvas.
That's a big canvas.
I know. So it's a great value. 5/8 inch depth, just like the other ones. This is actually double primed cotton duck. Cotton duck means that it's a much tighter mechanical weave with the cotton. It's not as loose, so it tends to have a little bit better bounce back. It's kind of a moniker for quality in the cotton realm, although I don't think that's really that as big of a deal anymore as what they used to. Cotton duck, oh my gosh, is it not cotton duck? It doesn't have to be. So 10 ounce primed weight, so it's the same weight, but it is double primed, so that's helpful. Back stapled. Now with these we do say rust proof staples, so that might be something with a value line that you don't normally get, so that is an added benefit, but that's something to consider, that a lower priced canvas may not have, you know, rust proof staples all the time. Same type of applications as the Practica for students, for paint and sip, for, you know, just kind of retired people wanting to learn just to have some fun. And I mean, they're not, for what they are, I'm really surprised that they're as decent quality. This doesn't really bend and torque barely at all with being a long thin canvas.
Yeah, especially
that's
that
usually the
that
case.
shape, yeah.
And as Katie knows, I can break anything.
Yep.
So, and it didn't happen.
Knock on wood.
Yeah. The episode isn't finished.
Yeah.
Yet. Just saying. All right. So then we come to, okay, maybe you don't work big. Mini canvases. If you've got a small kind of booming art business, or it's kind of maybe a little more craft geared, or just smaller price point paintings, mini canvases are actually big business for a lot of people. With the ultra minis like this, 7 ounce primed, 3/8 inch depth, so they're nice little tiny things. They've got glued sides, so I'm gonna have you come zoom in on one. This is the Paramount, but they're made the same. So you can kind of see, put it by the light. Get a light so you can see. So they're a little glued side canvas, but you don't need it to be, you know, all the rigmarole of a larger canvas. The ultra mini canvases come in 6 packs of the sizes 2x2, 2x3, 3x3, 4x4, 3x4, 3x5, and yes, 3x6. And you can buy them with a canvas and easel set with some of the smaller ones, which is kind of cool. Perfect for making gifts, for ornaments at Christmas, for fundraisers. We did a thing with these and Art Bites, but it would have been even cooler with the canvases. Give everybody in your company an easel and a canvas, have them go home and make it, do a little mini art show, get some wine and cheese, have people do a silent bid auction, and donate the money somewhere. We did that with the Ronald McDonald House, and it was a lot of fun. So it's something that you could do for fundraisers, for clubs like Girl Scouts or anything like that, for schools.
Yeah. Weddings, we had somebody do little mini individual, like it was your place setting plus
nice.
your gift. So you got little tiny little baby painting.
That's really cool. So see, lots of things you can do with it. They're very inexpensive. Now the Paramount Ultra Mini canvases, I'm gonna move this because now we're done with it, and there's so much other stuff. Come in a box like this in 100. 11 ounce double prime, so it's heavier. 2x2, 2x3, 2x4. They don't come with easels, but you can get easels separately. This is what we use at Jerry's for doing color swatches for the website, for brands. This is what, when I have to do color swatches, this is what I use and knock out. So that's a great way to buy like a lot of them in bulk for schools or something like that. All right. Oh, there's 9. I was like expecting you to go down, and it was not.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fine. No, it's me. I read. Yeah. Apparently, like I was assuming Chinese. Who knows? All right. So then we go to just kind of the artist's version of acrylic prime canvases, where you're starting into, okay, so I'm not just practicing, I'm wanting to move up a little bit. I want a little bit heavier canvas while I'm learning. The edge. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I forgot these mini ones. The edge. That's where I was confused, because that usually means these great packs come in 9 canvases. They come in 4x4, 5x5, 6x6, and 8x8 sizes. So if you like to do like an artwork on multi-surfaces, you can take this and with 9, break a painting up into 9 and split them up a little. I had an idea once where I thought it'd be cool to do individual bugs where they look like they're pinned in a bug collection and display them together. I thought that would be really fun. And these canvases are perfect for it, but they're like a super heavy duty version of the fancier canvas. They're stapled on the back, but I mean, look at how heavy the stretcher bar is for that. And it's got a really nice heavy high bead, and it's the gallery width. So that's kind of a nice way to do a little bit, like you want to work small, but you want it to be more of an artist quality. That's a way to do that. Now we'll come to the big edge. All right. The big edge comes in 11/16, 1.5, 2.5 inch depths. It is a 14-ounce triple primed acrylic, so it's a much heavier duty. Listen to that tight. I love it. So, and because it's triple primed, it's 8 ounces pre-primed, so the priming does add a nice thickness to it. It's a medium tooth surface, a tuck and roll style, which is that spline that we talked about. That would be the thing. Now you could re-stretch this because it's on that thicker gallery wrap. Stretch it onto like a 3/4 inch. You can buy them in singles. You can buy them in boxes of 6. The nice thing about this primer, and everybody's like, well, but it's kind of more of an artist brand. You know, maybe I don't want to consider it. The primer is a really nice, brilliant white, and even though it's not super slick, I like the way that it takes paint, especially acrylic. I've used it for commissions because it's a great price, but it's still 14 ounces is a nice heavy canvas. So this is just one that's not done. It will never be done. No, I'll tell you the story later. So no, I'm keeping it as it's a joke to keep it because it was for a handler that used to handle my dog, and we parted ways. So I'll keep these donuts. Yeah. Thank you. No, but I really like it. I really like how the acrylic applies to it. The surface is just really nice. The kind of the nice even machine texture. So it's a really great canvas brand, especially if you're wanting to go up. That's definitely one to go up to. Yes, all media cotton canvas. It is a cotton canvas that's 3/4 inch deep with an 11-ounce primed weight. But it's an all media cotton canvas. They actually primed this with a special acrylic primer that's designed to take water media. Super smooth surface. They make it so that it's nice, kind of sanded and buffered. The back has that spline that the edge has to it. So I don't know if you want to zoom in just to see how smooth that is. I've got it under the light. Now, in saying that water media can go on this, I am going to tell you, and having used it here for work and stuff, inks and things like that would do better, like things where you're only adding a few coats, not like a watercolor where you're trying to put layers and layers of transparent watercolor and washes and washes and washes on, because this isn't paper. It's not going to absorb way down into the fiber. This is designed to take a couple coats of washes and things like that. You're going to want to work much kind of with a much heavier paint load when you do it than just your little thin, barely colored kind of watercolor glazes. So, but it is a way where you can actually put watercolor on a canvas. So that's something that a lot of people that do watercolor or fluid acrylics, that's very popular. So that is the Yes All Media canvas. Okay, I'm over here now. All right, the Paramount Pro Professional. We're getting into the professional cotton canvases now, and you'll see why, because this has a lot to do with the stretchers, and it's got to do with the weight of it. 15 ounces primed, 11 ounces unprimed, so it's super beefy to start with. They sell it in 3/4 inch deep bulk boxes of 20. That's the only way to get that 3/4 inch. And then they sell it in the 1 1/13/16 gallery wrap Nice medium texture. It's just a little bit heavier duty than the edge. I actually really like it. Back stapled. Look at this. Can you zoom in to see the stretchers? Because these stretchers just talk about some lovely overkill. I am all for over-engineering a product, and this is just really nice. You can see that that bead is nice and up off the canvas. It's not touching.
I feel like it shouldn't even be called a bead. It's so big.
Yeah. So I mean, you've got it so that you can actually key it. So you can key this if you need to kind of make it a little tighter. But I mean, with this type of a stretcher frame system, you are not, I mean, I can't even make it move, and I can break anything. So that's really nice with those big, heavy
those have survived
stretchers to it.
When we were moving the stuff,
I
those survived all the
I've
falls.
stepped on them
Yeah.
by accident. Boxes of 3, and I think you can get them individually now too. We've done that with a lot of our canvases. So, and the bulk boxes of 20 of the 3/4 inch run about $5 a canvas for this heavy duty canvas. So that's a really big thing. I think for a 16 by 20 was what I looked at. So that's a very good value. Kind of Frederick's version of that. Everybody's used the just kind of the red label canvas. Everybody has at some point or another for crafts or for artwork or whatever. They make all sorts of neat sizes. The round and oval, it's just got press board behind it, which is fine for crafts and things like that. If you're doing a portrait for somebody and you're charging money, this isn't really an archival surface. They do make some called the Convexo, that I was gonna have to order a box of 6 at a time to get those into show, so that wasn't worth it, but that's a much better quality, more for along the lines of that type of work. But that's just their basic kind of entry-level stuff. The Dixie Pro is really more kind of along the lines of what to me, this is nice. This is something I would use, which is kind of how I always rate it. Is this something that I would use? I like the primer. The texture to it is a little bit rougher. It's a 12-ounce primed weight, 7/8 inch deep stretcher, so it's almost a full inch. So that's a really nice thing on just their standard size one. It's 100% cotton duck, kiln dried stretchers. I mean, you can tell it's a better quality pine that they use. You can get those in boxes of 5, or if you want something big and you don't want to have to, pay the oversized freight, they make a stretcher kit with a 17.5 ounce canvas, which is fantastic. 1 3/8 inch stretchers, universal priming, these corner braces that are just to die for. The Frederick's rep came and showed us how to do this. Can you come zoom in? This thing is just built for maximum destruction. I mean, look at this. It's got a great cross brace. It's got that great beveled stretcher that fits down in there, and the cross brace fits in with these things that make it so this can't get out of square for this. You can't twist it and torque it. And they've got something that's called, what was their name for it, because it's hilarious, the Clever Lever. They weren't kidding. Oh my God, it's this lever that he could put the edge of the canvas in, and it catches in this lip here, folds down, all by yourself, something this size, voila. He stretched it in no time flat. Literally reduced the stretching time by half. Were you in that?
It was like a magic trick.
Everybody goes, woo! and then laughed, and then, he had this sample that was left because he can't take it back on the plane. And people didn't fight for the sample. The sample's been here for a year. Someone took the Clever Lever. That was what I wanted. It's like, dang you, taking my Clever Lever. It was, I mean, but it works with those stretchers. I don't think it would work with other stuff, but it was just, I was just blown away. It was awesome. So that is a great kit to get something where you can stretch it yourself, but it's already all pre-cut, ready to go, and it's much less than buying a canvas and then the big freight with it if you just need to buy a canvas at a time. All right, so then we're going to go into the professional universal primed linens, which means what?
Everything
Everything.
Yay!
All the things.
All the things. All of the things. We've got Senso. Senso is a clear primed linen, which has that beautiful raw color to it that I just love. 3/4 inch, and then they do a 1.5 inch as well. Multimedia clear acrylic priming, so all of your easel paints, your acrylics, your alkyds, your water mixable oils and traditional oils and all that can go on that. Warp resistant pine stretchers. The paintable edges, since it's back stapled, you can get them in singles, boxes of 6 in the 3/4 inch ones, and boxes of 3 in the 1.5 inch ones. But look, somebody did a painting, I think this might have been Olivia's before she left, wasn't it? See how you can see it through there? I love that you can kind of see that natural linen through it. So it's something that if you like that look, it's primed, but you can still see the linen for it. So that is the Senso. Now I actually use soft pastels on it, and it works because there's just something about it's kind of just a little bit tacky, the surface
That
to
clear,
it.
yeah, that clear
Yeah,
gesso.
and it's really cool because then you've got that surface underneath. I'm trying to find where I'm at. Oh, we're down on the floor there. Okay.
Just kidding.
All right. Pick one, anyone. Linens that have universal and oil primed options, because sometimes you need both. And it's not fair for one or the other. So Centurion. Let me find my pile of Centurion. Centurion, their acrylic primes come in an LX and a DLX. I know that's confusing. Think of it this way. One is 3/4 inches deep, one is 1.5 inches deep. Which one has the extra letter? The big one, right? The DLX fat name goes for the fat canvas. The little LX name goes for the little thin canvas. That's the way to know which one is which on the website. It can get very confusing. It's the same thing. Unless it says OP DLX, then that's oil primed and you want acrylic, so don't do that if that's what you're doing. 11 ounce triple acrylic primed. Linen is stronger, remember. We don't have to have as beefy of a fabric. Being 30% stronger, you can have a much thinner fabric to it with way more strength and weight. So that can cut down a little bit on weight. Back stapled, paintable edge, kiln dried, which means what? That's good.
It's better.
It's better. It's still got the little giblets here, so you got your. What? It's okay. We pulled them off before and said other things. Giblets sound better.
Yes.
It's got a really nice fine grain texture. Can you come and look at that? It's very nice. It's nice and smooth. It would be really nice for, you could do portraits with it. You could do kind of any basic painting preparation type of genre. It would work well with it. The LX are sold in boxes of 6. The DLX are sold in boxes of 3. And I think that you can get them individually now as well. So, so there is the acrylic primed and the oil primed. It's kind of more odd, and to me the sizing is a little confusing. I'm not sure why they do it. They do a 0.67 inch, 0.75 inch, so 3/4 inch, and a 0.87 inch.
Huh?
And I think why they do it, in looking at the website, the bigger the canvas gets, the larger the depth. So they're making it a little bit sturdier for the really big canvases. Because that's what I was like, why does this matter? Why would you do this? And then that was the logical conclusion to it. The oil primer is enhanced so that it's non-absorbing. It's not, the oil's going to sit on top of that and then really refract, kind of redirect the color with the light right back to you. Why that's important is that if you've got a canvas that's really dull, that's really thirsty, that's oil primed, it's going to keep pulling that oil down in there, which not only wastes you having to add extra oil paint, but it also can give you issues of where it looks sunken in places it's very matte, and then in other places it's very shiny. So, so that's why you want a really good quality oil priming with it. That's 11 ounce for the oil primed weight as well. And This is a study that I did when I was traveling just to see, I don't remember, we needed an example for the website, I think, and apparently that's what I do when I travel. I still work. I was painting. It was in my old college studio too, so it was kind of fun with the students. But that's just student grade oils on this canvas, and it still looks great. So I mean, right there, and it didn't take a lot of layers. I was able to bring it up really quickly. So that's nice. That's the Centurion oil primed linen. Then we've got, you can look at that while I'm pulling these other things out because it's going to take a minute.
I'm oohing and ahhing over that blue.
Yes, isn't that beautiful? Now I might have punched that up with an old Holland color, but I came back because it was too dark, or like not rich enough. I do that sometimes.
You're allowed to.
Yeah. Even if I wasn't, I'd probably do it. All right. Then we've got the Paris linen. I'm going to put this down here. We'll show that in a minute. Paris has a nice 1-inch depth. They're the ones with this nice copper tax. So it's very pretty. Looks very traditional. The acrylic primed is got the purple label. These come with corners. We've lost some around the studio to protect it. Triple universal priming on it with a very nice professional quality gesso. It's very thick. It's a very nice surface. It is a fine medium weight linen, so it'd be good for portraits, landscapes, kind of anything you could throw at it. This is the one that I was saying has this slot lap system to the stretchers. Zoom in because this will make more sense.
Oh!
See how these are, they actually have like a little pointed part that fits in it like furniture does, right?
Instead of being on the diagonal.
Instead of being on the diagonal where you can get flexing if you don't, you know, staple it, which you can still get. But that actually goes right into that. So it's actually fitted down into this. Comes straight, fitted, straight. Look how freaking thick these stretchers are. They're 2¼ inches wide.
Yeah.
They're super duper heavy duty. And it does, I mean, you've got these to stretch it out. I've never done anything on this where I needed to use these at all. I mean, it's just, it's very nice. So, and look at that's the acrylic. Now there was something I wanted to show on this. I don't know if you can get where it's shiny on the edge somewhere. I just saw it. If you've ever used canvases, you pull that plastic off. The plastic is meant just to keep it from sticking to other canvases in a box or whatever for transport. But if you've ever pulled that off of a canvas and then you've got that kind of shiny thing to it, or you've got dirt or things like that, and then your paint doesn't stick to it, anytime you see that before you start to paint, take is it denatured alcohol? Now I'm losing my train of thought crashed a long time ago. There's a lot of words here to look at. You can take rubbing alcohol, you can take denatured alcohol. What you do is you put it on a clean, lint-free rag, and you give it a quick wipe everywhere on the sides, especially on those corners. Poof, that stuff evaporates, and then you've got, you know, the surface is clean. It's pulled off any oils. If you have ever, have a lot of people handling, hand oils and things like that can make it so that your priming won't take it. Just give that a shot with that, and that will clean it up. So that's something to consider doing on that. So, and these are, I know it seems like overkill with the copper tax, but it is back stapled so that they've left you excess to be able to restretch it if you need to. So that's the acrylic primed. Oil primed is 10.3 ounce primed weight, and this is a very nice non-absorbent primer that's very, very pretty. They do a layer of glue sizing and then 3 coats of oil priming, so it's very smooth. I mean, it's just touch it feels so good.
They do, yeah.
It's very. Amanda's not a painter. She's looking at us like we're insane. Thanks, Amanda.
No, I have a canvas I'm obsessed with.
Okay. All right. So they actually, as they're doing this before they stretch it, they wash the linen and they really pumice it very smooth, so it's got that nice smooth texture. So that is that. acrylic study that's not done of a little funny toad. That's on the acrylic priming. Acrylic takes really nicely to this. You don't have to scrub it in like you do in a lot of primers because it's just really nice. It sits right up on the surface. So, where are we now? Oh, 15. Okay. Yeah, it's over there. All right. Paris individually or boxes of 3? Yes.
So you
There's a question.
can paint oil on acrylic prime, but you can't
Yes.
paint acrylic on oil prime, right?
Universal. Remember, acrylic means universal. So anything goes on that. If you're doing mixed media, doing collage work, acrylic or universal prime, same thing, same results. Oil is oil only. Only oils. Alkyds are an oil. It's just got drying agents in it. So alkyds are fine. Water mixable oils, that's fine because they've just changed some of the components of it to be able to clean it out and not need solvents. Clean brushes out a little easier. Some emulsifiers, that's fine. Prime will work with water mixable oils, and then traditional oils. Not the other things. No, don't go. Because number one, you're wasting money if you're doing acrylics only by buying an oil prime canvas because it is more expensive because there's so many more processes and materials that go into it. And then you're not going to get the adhesion and it's going to peel off. So, yeah, don't do that. All right, Odessa linens. Katie's laughing at me because or chuckling because she knows how much I love these. I've got a heavy body right here. Okay. Now, there's 3 different textures that these come in. These are from the Ukraine. 3 different textures. There is the medium extra fine. We'll look at that one first. That's a slight texture that's good for portraits or general painting. So that's that. Then we have the medium heavy body. You can really see texture in that. It's very pronounced. It's very nubby. They don't pumice them or do anything like that. They like that natural effect to it. Then you've got the large extra bold that to me looks like jute or hemp. It's just fantastic.
It does look like.
That medium surface would be good for landscapes or kind of abstracts or things where it's fine if you've got that texture in, more maybe modern portraits. This, you want some texture, you want to use it, or you want to build up some weight because it's a heavier linen, so it's going to be able to take super heavy uses. Beautiful thing about the Odessa linens, they come in acrylic and oil priming for all 3 of the surfaces. That's fantastic. That's like a drum. That's just amazing. They do this, unlike other manufacturers do, they put the linen on, they staple it on the back, and then they do the priming. Yeah, that's why you still see some of this. You notice how the other stuff all goes to the edge.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
What that does is because it's already stretched snug, shrinks it just that little bit. So it makes it nice and super tight and fantastic. So that's a huge thing. That's why these are so wonderful. Solid pine stretchers. They do graduated sizing. What this means, sorry, it's my banging. It's like the lecturing hand, but this is the happy excitement. Ta-da. Okay, so up to a 24 by 30 is a 3/4 inch. If you go above that, it's a 1 and, it goes up to a 7/8 inch. So it goes up to almost an inch. But what they do is the 24 by 30, this is 1.77 inches this way. When they go above that size, it goes to 2.17 inches. So they're the only one that does that, where it gets bigger and stronger the larger you go. So it's going to keep that nice drum type fit because it's not going to, they're making it larger and stronger so it's not going to torque. So, and these are one of the few other, than the Paris and the Raphael that you pick up that you can't flex, that you can't move.
And Musea.
So, yeah, so that's just really awesome. And they come with the giblets. I'm going to use the word.
Just because I hate it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I won't tell you about neutering canvases then.
Don't like it.
No, we like to tease Amanda. It's good fun. All right. Now, though these I've done, this was one we showed the other day. If you didn't see that episode, and it's funny because now I'm holding it sideways, which I couldn't decide this way, this way, this way, this way. So it's wired both ways. But this is on that the medium fine, and I just really love it. Show the face up close because you can kind of see. You can see the linen grain through it. I painted it so you can still kind of see that linen grain, and I just love that. I love the color of the primer. And it's still nice and tight, even with the heavier stuff, and then the cold wax medium on it for the letters. All right, so, yes, Amanda.
Universal is not liquid, correct? Universal Prime is not watercolor.
Only the Yes canvas. Just remember, will watercolors work on it? Yes! That's how you remember the name. Because all the other ones would be like, no! Yeah, if it's yes, it will work with water media. Everything else, no, it would need to be like acrylic inks, something that's got resin in it for a fluid media. Liquid acrylics, fluid acrylics. So now we're to the ones that are only oil primed. Only oil primed. So we've got Old Holland. Old Holland makes a linen canvas that's with Clausen's, which you can tell is with Clausen's.
You can smell it.
Okay, today in my office, I had to know that an unwrapped canvas, I had to smell it, and then I was like, oh, it's a Raphael canvas, I'll bring it in here. Because it smells different, each brand smells different. I can sadly tell the brands apart even with the rolled canvases from the smell. But this is Clausen's. Look, nice big wide stretchers with that. And talking about our stretchers, a 13/16 inch deep. It's back stapled, plenty of room to restretch. It is double primed with an 11 ounce weight, and with Clausen's, all the priming is done by hand. They do them with this beautiful kind of spatula, and then let it dry, and then do the next coat. And I know it looks kind of gray, it's double primed, that's a hallmark of Clausen's. You have to get up into the quadruple primed to kind of get rid of that, but that's what it looks like, that's what they do. I actually like it, that it's not the bright white, but it smells wonderful. It smells like magic. All right, so that's the Old Holland. The Raphael, where did I put that one down?
It was right there.
Yeah, I went and found a corner. Might not be for the right size. This is the Raphael oil primed linen. They are made in Italy. Yes, and stroking the canvas.
It's that
Amanda.
Do you love that one?
It is that good.
It's just that good. It just feels creamy and buttery, and it's very sexy. Yeah. Made in Italy by Bell'Arte. Now, one thing that I have heard people say, and I freely admit that it does this, it looks kind of creamy. It's because this has been closed up. It's not been in the light. You take them out and immediately it lightens again. It's just what linseed oil does when something's been kept in the dark. So it kind of looks, when you get them, they will look much more kind of like a little bit of Naples yellow got in the primer somehow. Just a spot of it. So it's got like a nice buttercream color to it. Not a problem. But these are a 13 ounce primed weight. Nice and tight. A 1 3/8 inch deep profile. Back stapled with paintable edges. This is portrait grade. It's very smooth. It's very soft.
I mean, I'm literally inches away from them. That's how smooth it is.
2 coats of glue sizing, and then 4 coats of professional priming. And with this priming, it's designed so that your oil paints sit on the surface immediately from the start, which I know that sounds, if you've not used really good quality oil priming, you don't understand. I'm not kidding. You will understand like the minute that you do it, and you're like, oh, that's what she meant by that. Fur stretchers. Remember when we were talking about stretchers and wood? Fur. Nice, good, smooth grain. I mean, the way they engineer these braces going in is really nice. They already have them pre-cut with the sizes above looks like above probably 20 inches, so that they can have, you know, them going back and forth where it's already cut to slide right in, so that makes it nice and strong. Keep losing where I'm at. This is all handmade. Even the priming, everything from start to finish is handmade. When I'm saying that this stuff sits right on the surface, this is a 3-hour painting, from having a bare canvas to coming up with this. This should look like a study. This looks like a finished piece of art. I couldn't believe, and now I was using Old Holland. This is all Old Holland on here, so you're talking about highly pigmented paints, but this is the proof in the pudding of both of the products, in that it immediately was on there. What was just a glaze really filled the surface. You could build on it very easily. You could get detail right away. This was the first time I ever used this canvas, and I just was like, it was like 1:30 or 2 in the morning when I finished it, and I just wanted to call all the artists I know and go, oh my God, oh my God. Just, it's that good. Jumping around doing a happy dance by yourself at 2 in the morning is very sad and lonely as an artist when you can't tell somebody about a product that you just fell in love with. So, so this is just a very amazing, and I didn't paint the edges because I just like it plain, but it's the bee's knees. You young people don't get that reference, Katie.
I get
I
that
know,
one.
I'm teasing you. I'm just
The
teasing.
squealy one earlier? Not so much.
Even Amanda's heard it before. Well, it must be LA then. All right. So, last but not least, the Museo linen. We showed that metal frame at first. I don't know if you can just zoom in from there just to show. This is what is underneath those Museo frames. I mean, it's all aluminum. It's components where you don't need keys anymore. It comes with all the fittings. It comes with the tool to tighten, even though they come pre-stretched, it comes with the tool to tighten and loosen things and all that. They're very much a feat of engineering with just the whole process. The beauty of these linens are, if you need to ship work, this is where you're talking upper echelon professional level with the Museo system and with the Museo stretched canvases. You can take that off of the stretchers, roll the work, ship it, take all those, take it apart, put it in a tube, mail those two components separately with the tools, and they can put it back together. I mean, it comes apart very, very easily. So it's a system that's very lightweight for the size. For shipping, it would just, I mean, that helps even with breaking those components down, just in being lightweight with the aluminum. There's on our website, can you put the page for just the Museo stretched canvas? There's a video that shows the guy stretching it and putting it together. It's very easy. So that's something where if you are painting at that level, you probably didn't need this Facebook Live in the first place, because you've already been here and done all this and have moved on. But that's something that can appeal to you. So, and for the works, you know, if you're going to be charging thousands and thousands of dollars for works, you should be painting on something that seems like it's worth the value that somebody is paying for your work. So, do we have any quick questions? I know this has been a lot of things.
They would like to know how the giblets work.
How the giblets work? How the corners?
Oh, they want
How the keys
calling
work.
it giblets because they know
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Okay. Yeah. Perfect example. Let me take my card off this.
Yeah.
Because it goes in the studio. God, everything's on here. Okay. This already has them in, and I just put them in so they'd be in here if anybody ever wants to take it. You put them in. I put them in so that you put them in so they're actually going into. Can you see how that's going into like that? Mm-hmm. The point, so that this part is pressing on here, and by the same token, this part is pressing on here, and then you're actually going to take, I would say, use a small hammer.
Yes.
Okay, like a tack strip hammer or something like that, unless you're really good at hammering. Even though I break
Maybe
lots of things,
rubber
I'm
mallet.
pretty awesome at hammering. Rubber mallet's really big though, and that's coming
tiny
into
one.
contact. I just keep a trim, what's called a trim hammer.
Yeah.
You're going to very carefully and slowly tap those in. Not like tap, 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 tap on one, tap, tap, tap on the other, because with each tap, it's pushing that apart, those corners apart that little bit. If you do it too much, it's going to not come together in a tight thing, and there will be a gap, and you can have tearing on your canvas on the end. It's only meant for mild adjustments. If you tap it in a couple places because it's come slack, tap it just like once on each of the corners, it's gonna push it just a little bit tight and it will be fine. And then you can loosen it up again if you need to. I'm gonna level with you. Okay, I've painted a long time before college, but we'll say since college, 25 years of painting, I've never had to use keys on anything. And I don't know if it's because I'm really picky in the pre-made canvases that I buy, where I'm making sure that it's already nice and tight. Because sometimes in different shipping situations, brands that would be tight will get slack. So I like to see the canvas before I buy it, but I've never had to use them. In North Carolina, we live in the most, it's like a swamp. It can be like Florida.
Yeah.
And for a number of years, like 4 or 5 years, I didn't use the AC in my house. And even with the humidity and oil prime stuff, I never had anything go slack. So although it's great that it's in there and you've got it if you need it, the likelihood nowadays with how they do them by machine and stretch them, that you're going to really honestly need them is very minor. It's if you're stretching canvas, you don't have a real good grasp on it or background, or you haven't done it enough where you're super proficient, that's going to be where you're going to have problems. Or if you're stretching oil primed linen. Linen's a lot harder to stretch, and you may need that to tighten it up. You don't want to actually torque it down too tight because you can break your priming badly, crack your priming doing that. So
They want to know about polyester.
that's a good question. Polyester is something that a lot of the museums and stuff are going to. I mean, it's that are saying that that's polyester and rayon because it's not like it's gonna, have issues with molding and mildewing and rotting like you can have with cotton. You're not going to have to do as much preventative stuff with the sizing. You could put a PVA sizing on it and then priming. Nobody's really, there's only a couple brands that I can think of right off the top of my head that make a poly blend canvas that's like a poly cotton blend. Because what you can do is you can make a much smoother portrait surface with it because it's rayon and it's a really fine thin yarn with a lot of strength and actually helps strengthen cotton. That's a lot of why they're combining it in. So I have painted on it. I stretched some stuff with it myself. It was very strong. I just didn't like how it felt. I like beefy texture, and it to me, I'm gonna sound like a dork, but it diminished my painting enjoyment. It really did. So I probably won't use it just on that basis alone. I didn't like the rebound. I didn't like the feel. It made me change my painting style. And to me, and that's the thing about jumping around with a lot of brands, whatever's on sale, you can have to kind of change it because the priming is different because, so your absorption of your paint's gonna be different. You have to make it thicker than thinner like another brand might take. So I like more consistent to try to use similar brands with similar quality, with similar characteristics, because that's frustrating. If I only have a certain amount of time to paint, because I'm usually doing this, obviously it takes a while. So that can be an issue. So just but it's supposed to work well. Now, something I didn't think of that we need to probably address. If you're at the point as an artist where you're showing, you're getting work out there, you're working with galleries, maybe galleries want to represent you and you're kind of getting ready to make that next step and go from there, talk to the galleries that you're interested in, find out what they recommend that you paint on, because some galleries want to frame all the stuff themselves with similar frames to have a very cohesive look. You might be using 2-inch deep canvases and they want 3/4 inches on everything. What are you gonna do when maybe you've got 30 paintings and they're all like this and they're like, well, how about when you paint on some thinner ones, then that's not good. So it's really, that's something to consider if you're at that point of where you're looking for representation. They may not want you to paint on cotton. They may want you to only do linen. They may want, if you paint in oils, you to do it on oil priming. There's weird things that are out there that people just are going to be qualifications as, you know, we love your work, but you need to do it on this and we'll consider you. So if you're at that level, rather than just do what you want to do and hope that that's gonna be the basis of what they're going to kind of take you on, ask questions, be informed, be aware. Be your own best advocate. So that was just something that I thought about, because this paintable edge phenomenon is fantastic. Some places still make you frame something regardless. And if you're painting on this because it's, you know, fantastic and it's a paintable edge, and then you can not have to invest in a frame, and someplace makes you frame it, this is really expensive to frame by comparison. So just a pearl of wisdom I thought of. Any other questions? Any quick, last, like, glaring question that stood out? I feel so weird without an apron. I notice I'm not doing this all the time, though, stuffing my hands in my pockets or playing with the, which maybe it's because this has kept me busy. I don't know. All right. Well, if there's no questions, huh? What?
The Instagram thing again.
Oh, yeah. Amanda, it's so good that we have you, because we would not forget. Remember, the 3 of you that got the e-gift cards, that was fantastic. Everybody needs to submit work this week. If I've seen your name making comments on these shows multiple times, week in and week out, and you're not submitting art, don't be shy. We won't judge. You need to put hashtag inspired by Jerry's live. So, and it needs to be, if you're, what were the qualifications you said? The privately set things and all that?
It has to be a public post, because I physically cannot see it if it's a private post.
Okay. All right.
So I don't even know it's there.
So your Instagram has to be set to public if you're doing it. Your Facebook setting has to be to public if you're doing it.
And on
all those
Facebook, you
things.
can set an individual post to public, not your entire profile. So
Who knew? I did not. That's good to know. So there we go. So do that. If you were just coming in late and you're not sure, I'm sure Amanda's posted a bunch of times because Amanda's awesome, but it was JL30 for the search box that'll bring up this list of all these nuts and bolts of canvases that we've gone through, and I'm sorry because it's probably going to be hard to find rewatching it to find the name of something, but it's all there. And again, leave any questions in the comments and I will get to them. Or if you need something quicker, we've got so many episodes now, and going back and checking on stuff, sometimes it takes me a while to get to everything. You can private message me on my Amy Gardner Dean artist page on Facebook, and I will answer your questions, and that'll be a lot quicker.
or they can send it to our Facebook page too.
Yeah,
To Jerry's Facebook page.
that's true. So yeah, and then Katie will let me know. So hopefully you've learned something, you found maybe a new favorite item that you want to give a try. Hopefully we haven't made you sad that you're painting on something you shouldn't be. You know, hopefully everything's all good. We're all good. We're in this to learn together. We're in it for the community of it. We're in it for you guys to be inspired, to grow as artists, and to just keep on working.
Keep on keeping on.
Yes. So on that note, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Next week, we are doing mono printing with one of my friends, the zany and just entertaining little firecracker of a gal, Maureen Seltzer. That's actually a local artist that does just incredible mono printing. She has done some work with, I think, Jelly Plate. I'll have to double check, but and help them with some of their social media with some of the processes she uses. So we're going to be doing mono printing, and for those of you that really enjoy me out of my element, she's going to make me do stuff. So you can come and gawk and gape and, you know, poke me with a stick, because that's what it's going to feel like. But that's fine. We're gonna do it, and we're gonna have fun. So that'll be next week with JL31. If you want to look at the supplies ahead of time to see what we're going to be using. So have a good evening, and we will see you next week. Everybody take care. Happy painting.